What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Pillars Unpacked. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Today we're going to be looking at the Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago, Illinois. This is the Catholic Cathedral of the Archdiocese of Chicago. So let's go check out some footage of the church, and we'll come back after and talk about some history and other insight on the cathedral. All right, so before we get into the details of the cathedral on today's episode, I know it's been a few weeks since I've had an episode up on the channel, and that's just because life's been very busy with a lot going on lately. But I'm very excited to be back with today's episode on the Holy Name Cathedral. Recently was able to visit Chicago for the first time over Memorial Day weekend a few weeks ago. Had a great time and got to see this amazing cathedral. So I'm excited to have an episode about it, and I have a lot of really interesting episodes coming up soon over the course of this summer. I have so much to cover still from Paris and Amsterdam. So I'm excited to make those videos, and then I've got some other more local ones to me that I'll kind of be interspersing there throughout the summer. So definitely a lot to come, so stay tuned for all of that. And recently on the channel just celebrated 1 year since my first video and then the first episode, which covered St. Mary's Basilica in Wilmington, North Carolina. I made a post about it on the YouTube page. So yeah, just thank you so much for all of the viewership and support over the last year. I definitely really appreciate all of it, and it's been so much fun to make all these videos. I feel like if you look back, we've covered so many different types of churches from a lot of different places all around the world, and that's been pretty amazing to see. If you're newer to the channel, there is a lot of prior episodes to check out, and would appreciate if you do so. So again, thank you so much for just all the support, all the viewership, and I'm just so excited for all of the new episodes to come and all the other places and churches that we'll be able to explore. So just wanted to highlight that because that was just right at the end of May, and it's amazing to me that it's already been a year. So with that being said, to talk about today's cathedral on the episode. So I really enjoyed getting to see this cathedral. I didn't know a ton about it, but it's located in kind of a major thoroughfare area of Chicago on State Street. The exterior is beautiful. It's got a very tall spire, but really it's the interior that just I kept going back to, and I thought was extremely visually interesting. It's really just the ceiling to me that I was just like, I haven't seen something quite like it, and it was very refreshing to see something that felt like a totally different design. Very unique, I feel, in that the ceiling it's wood. There's some kind of gold paneling and some gold trimming, which I read that I think the architect's design is designed to, as the light comes in, it's supposed to kind of like pop against the wood, which is obviously traditionally a little bit darker and does not reflect light as much as gold would. So I think that is kind of an interesting choice there. And one thing that I thought as I was in there and just kind of checking it out, the way that the kind of more traditional columns kind of became that wood structure, and then kind of just like once it met them and the ceiling kind of vaults upward, it just looks, the design just kind of like explodes from there, and all these like intricate and interesting different ways and all these different paths and everything like that. And I thought that was, again, it made it very interesting to look at, and that's kind of what I kept, my eye kept being drawn back to it. So I think it's worth seeing and just kind of taking some time to take all that in for that reason alone. It's a very large space. There's a beautiful pipe organ. And I think the crucifix hanging above the main altar is also beautiful. And again, it draws, because it's a big space, having something that draws your eye towards the front, I think is very, very important. But really it was that ceiling. And I read that it's designed to be kind of like a tree of life type design, where there's just all these intricacies and it just kind of keeps going. It feels continuous, that it goes on forever, and you can kind of keep looking back and see something different. So I thought it was amazing. Just some other fast facts about the church. They just celebrated 150 years last year, and so there was some signage and other things outside the cathedral kind of commemorating that 150 year mark. So the cathedral was dedicated in 1875. Which is pretty amazing that it has such a deep history. And the website, I'll put a link in the video description. The website is pretty fantastic. It's got a lot of historical tidbits. It has a really nice timeline you can go through and kind of see. I think there's some interesting notes about the Prohibition era, which was such a big deal in Chicago. There was a lot that historically happened with that right around the area of the cathedral. So I think that was worth noting. This building also had to be rebuilt because of the Great Chicago Fire, which I believe was in the late 1800s. And there's also the Chicago Architecture Institute, I believe is what it's called, because Chicago's city just known for so much architecture and history from that perspective. They also have on their website, they have some interesting tidbits about the cathedral. And one of those things is about how the building had to be kind of redone and redesigned after the Great Fire in Chicago, which like so many other buildings had to be as well. There was also another fire that happened in 2009. The cathedral had to shut down. I think it was an electrical fire that damaged part of the roof, so they had to shut the cathedral down and kind of fix everything and get it back before it could reopen. And another interesting thing I thought was in 2008, I believe, part of the wood ceiling actually collapsed, so they had to go kind of reinforce it. They had to reinstall some new pieces to kind of again, get it back to where it was structurally sound. And there's like, I think I read that there's over like 20,000 individual wood pieces in that ceiling. I think it's just absolutely beautiful and amazing to look at. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting tidbits about this cathedral. I'd encourage you to look on their website, read more about it if you're interested. Pope, I think it's John Paul II. He visited the cathedral back, I think it was like in the late 70s or early 80s. And anytime that happens, there's always a lot of things commemorating that a pope visits, because that's always a big deal for a church or basilica or cathedral, whatever the designation is, anytime that happens. And also the new pope, Pope Leo, I think he's originally from Chicago, or at least he lived in Chicago for an early time in his life. So there was a lot of things commemorating that he became the Pope now, which I think is pretty awesome. And I'm sure that's crazy for the Archdiocese, because the Pope coming from where you're situated is just very, very unique. That does not happen in a lot of instances. So I thought that was interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed getting to see this cathedral. That I think that ceiling was absolutely breathtaking, and it made me want to make a video on it very soon, just because I thought it was very unique and felt refreshing to see. So thank you so much for checking out today's video. I'm going to have another episode posted to the channel soon. I'm going to have another church from Paris that I'm going to cover, so I'm excited about that, and please stay tuned for it. And until next time, keep looking up.